Hydrate or dihydrate. So, today's episode is going to be about finding who you are and figuring out how to express that. So, I found who I was by facing the pain, by facing the shadows, by learning how to turn on the light. Like I've talked about this in my last podcasts about, illuminating the place, illuminating the dark tunnels that we fall into, right? So, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to illuminate a part of ourselves? So, something I've learned is that deception and deceit and lies are what things like depression, anxiety, all those things, that's what it feeds off of. And so all the things that make you feel bad, that like literally you can feel it like lowering your vibration, you can feel yourself. That's why they call it sinking. You're here and you're sinking into it, right? And it can be really easy to sink into that because it takes choice and it takes the exertion of turning on the light or lighting the candle. Fire is energy. And so you have to make the choice. I'm not going to listen to this. And when you brand the things that make you feel like crap as lies, as the deceit that they truly are, then you start to have the real responsibility of reality. And that's where you can really express who you are. Because when you come face to face with reality, you can see, okay, all these things that I was scared of, here's all the fears, here's this sort of false reality that just lives in my mind. And we're all playing a game, right? We're all playing a game. Life is a game, and our minds are so powerful that we can create any game that we want, right? And so a lot of people are playing games that are bad for them, that hold them back because ego wants to protect us, right? But really, it's just fear. And when you say no to the ego and you say, no, I'm going to create my own reality through acting on my values, that's when the ego starts to fall away and you start getting evidence. You start getting evidence of love. You start getting evidence of who you are. And so finding who you are starts by giving yourself true, real evidence, right? There's a lot of things that resonate with us, but we don't actually act on them. We say, oh, I could do that, or I should do more of this, or blah, blah, blah. But it's still tied to shame in some way. It's still tied to this game that you're playing. And so you have to find a way to stop playing that game. You have to shift your course, shift your mindset to, I'm going to play the game of life that allows me to express who I am truly. Because everyone is a unique individual, and that's amazing. That's amazing. I love that no one outfit looks the same. I love that when people put effort into their creations, that it's a totally unique thing. And it might give the same feeling or a similar feeling to other things. But that's part of being human. We all share feelings, and that's part of the great part of being human. So, anyways, um I feel as though you can find yourself through that kind of shame, through that game that you play, because whatever makes you feel bad, why does it make you feel bad? Is it because there's a part of you that desires to do that? Is it because you feel like you'll never be able to? Well, if you feel bad that you'll never be able to do this or that you'll never be enough for this or that, that means that there's a part of you that wants to. And desire does not exist for no reason. Desire is there for you to chase, for you to see it and use it because we're human. And there's a lot of desires that are planted in our minds, of course, that aren't reflective of our true identity, right? But oftentimes you find your true desires because the desires that aren't good for us, when we obtain them, we we don't feel the thing that we wanted to feel, right? So when we're looking for something, we're looking really for a feeling. So what you want to do is to give yourself permission to feel that feeling, even in the small steps towards your true desire. If you're now playing the game of, I'm going to make something of myself and I'm going to express myself and I'm going to make my life what I want it to be, and that comes from a place of love, then you can start loving yourself by celebrating. Oh my gosh, I just hit the table. By celebrating the steps that you've taken, even if they're little. Even if they're little, you want to celebrate them because it teaches your brain, oh, I get validated from this. And it feels so good to do something that feels like you. When you create something that says you, when you act on a value that says you and you act on it in a way that is you, like, for example, when I'm dealing with when I have to stand up for myself, I do it in a way that is kind of funny. I try to make kind of a joke about it because at the end of the day, I'm standing up for myself, but I don't feel like I need to yell or I don't need to do it in a way that doesn't leave me at peace. I can do it in however way I want. I can make it fun. I can make anything fun, even if the situation, even if the other person didn't make me feel good, I can still take a hold of my energy and make it fun in some way. And you can get a lot farther doing things that say you in some way because it leaves you feeling excited or proud of yourself. And so a lot of times, I will do things in a way that I haven't seen anyone else do it because I'm weird and everyone's weird. And so when I do something that says me, it's probably a little weird, but it's cool because no one else has done it like that before. And even if you see someone else do something and you want to copy them, you're not going to end up copying them because it comes from you. And the reason it's resonating is because there's already a part of you. And so you're not going to do it justice if you try to completely copy them. Do it in your way. Do it in your way. Live your life in your way. And so, okay. So back to the lights, turning on the light. So I had this visual the other day where I feel like a lot of times I've had to fight off thoughts and things that made me feel bad that would pop up. And I had to get used to grabbing a string of love, right? I have a string here, and then I have the root of my issue here, right? The way that I've been hurt, the thing that they said that made me feel a certain way, and oh, I'm so scared that I won't feel that way, or I'm so scared that I will never achieve this, or they really made me feel bad, or I made myself feel bad. What you want to do is take this string of love, right? And you just tell yourself, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it true for myself. When you show up consistently for yourself, it doesn't matter how many times you fall because you know you're going to get up. It doesn't matter how many bad things happen to you because you know you're going to transmute it into love. It doesn't matter any of this stuff. You're not a victim anymore when you start playing the game of self-expression and self-expression through love. And the self is connected to love. The ultimate way to express yourself is through love. And so if you are missing that piece of love, you got to learn how to love. That's step number one. You got to learn what love means. You got to learn how to give it to yourself, how to give it to others. And then you can get creative with it. But step number one is grabbing that string of love, taking that piece of you that's like, I'm not gonna be anything, or I just am not a good friend, or I can never find love. I'm never gonna be a good partner. I'm never gonna be Yes, I will. I'm gonna make it happen. Here's a tangible step in front of me that makes it happen. Because when you are like, I'm saying no to those thoughts, you will find yourself in a situation where the next step is revealed to you. And it's going to be scary. Like for me, being a better friend meant that I had to bring up what I was insecure about to them. And I had to give myself a clean slate. I had to say, "Hey, I'm sorry for this," or how can I show up better? And then I actually had to do it, you know? But that's what I mean by providing evidence. When you provide evidence of who you are, then you can build and build and build. And so then the next time you have to tie love to the wound, you have something. You literally have something that says, no, I did this. Remember? Remember this string? And so, boom, now you have a direct line up. You have a direct line to the higher truth of it because you created that. You gave it to yourself. You gave it to others. And so that, I believe, is how you find who you are, because we have all these negative feelings, and when you get wrapped up in all that, you can just fall right into treating yourself and other people poorly. And most people that treat other people poorly or treat themselves poorly feel like a victim. Have you ever talked to someone who, you're like, hey, that wasn't cool? Well, you don't understand. Well, you should see it from my point of view. And it's like, well, yes, I'm sorry that you went through that, but it's our responsibility to transmute it into love, because everything that we do should be growth oriented. It should be creation oriented. It should be oriented in love, And so you shouldn't gatekeep or say, this needs to happen. They need to hear my peace of mind, It's like, maybe they do, but you can always present it in a way that makes you feel at peace at the end of it. For a long time, I would be in these relationships where I just felt really anxious, Hashtag anxious attachment. Am I right? Anyways. And I would feel a certain way, and then I would express myself in a certain way. And all of these ways, all of these things, they just left me feeling not good. I didn't feel like myself, And it was because I needed to learn the ways in which I was betraying myself, and I needed somewhere else to put that energy, and I needed to transmute that energy into like loving communication and be okay with the response that I got. And oftentimes we can blame ourselves for so many things that are not our fault, right? But there is responsibility to take somewhere in the situation. And that responsibility is something that you can find. You can find the ways in which you can act in a way that resonates with you, right? So the more you do it, the more practice you have, the more natural it becomes, the more ideas you get, the more creation happens, right? So when I say creation and growth oriented, that's what I mean. Like the output of your inner world should make other people go, "Oh, I want to do that too," you know? And it's not about anyone else. I want people to find out who they are because it's fun, because I feel like I know who I am, because I've practiced being who I am, and I found balance and I found peace. And the times that I'm not at peace, I know what to do because I've done it so many times, you know? And now I have this sort of energy like no matter what happens, I've got my back. And the nice thing also is that because I've done so much of this inner work, and I've really sowed, other people sow into me too. Whatever you do in your inner world gets mirrored back to you in such a beautiful way. And even the bad stuff. Have you ever seen like skyscrapers or anything and thought, ugh, city, industrialism. But then you see the way a sunset reflects off of them? Nature and love will always reflect off of anything in a beautiful way. So it doesn't matter what you're starting with. It doesn't matter what you're working with. It doesn't matter if it starts out really negative, really heavy, whatever. There's a way to make it beautiful. And you will see hindsight 2020. You will see that in the end, at the middle of your journey, you will start to realize if you get really used to celebrating the steps that you take, then you see, oh wow, like I've come really far. And so finding who you are means finding your values, finding what it is that you want, what it is that you desire, finding and facing what you fear, feeling those, and choosing better for yourself. Because you don't have to feel like you deserve a better life. You don't have to feel like you're enough. You don't have to feel good in the beginning. You don't. You just have to choose bite-sized little pieces that say, this is me, this is who I am, or this is who I want to be. And this is a step towards the person I want to be. Because who you are now is who you are. Your physical reality is reflecting who you are in the present. But if there is a piece of you that is hurting or unsatisfied with who you are now, that means there's a person in the future that is you, that you are meant to become. Because there is nothing but the energy of love wanting you to become that, because it wants you to enjoy your life. It wants you to love who you are and see who you are, and it wants to be realized. Who you are wants to be realized, and the only person that can realize it is you. And other people can see it from the outside, and that's why sometimes our friends will say or do things that relate to who we are and our character that don't make sense to us, because we're still playing that game of, well, I'm not this or I'm not good enough for that. But other people can see our potential a lot more than we can. And so that's when I would say use the people around you that you know truly care about you. Appreciate what they say, appreciate who they think you are, because they can see things through their lens of love And you don't maybe have that lens of love for yourself yet, but they do. And they can see who you are. They can feel your soul. And when you're stuck in this game of I'm not good enough, or I'll never be who I want to be, or this is just who I am, and you've accepted the things that make you feel bad because you don't have the self-worth yet, other people suffer from it. You naturally will make other people suffer and make people have to choose self-respect over connection with you, because once it crosses that threshold of self-respect, that's when it turns into attachment, not connection. So sometimes we'll be deep in our darkness and we'll be like, why can't anyone connect with me? And it's because people are choosing self-respect. They can't meet you there because you're supposed to meet yourself there and evolve. And it's important to not be so afraid of the darkness that lives in us, because we always talk about yin and yang, right? Without darkness, there would be no light or whatever. I think that that's just the human condition. We're not perfect, so there's going to be darkness. But where there is darkness, there exists light. You just have to realize it. And that's part of the whole creation thing. When we're used to destroying ourselves, it's also going to take a lot of exertion to create. But don't be afraid of that exertion, because some things drain our energy, some things take, and some things take our energy and give back. And finding who you are is always going to give back. Giving love to yourself, to whoever, to whatever, your passions, always will reap benefits that you might not have even thought were gonna happen. There's a lot of times where I work towards something and I get blessings that I didn't even know would happen. Like sometimes I get so lost in the process now that I literally don't even realize, like, wait a second, I reap what I sow. Let's go. It's so exciting. And I want everyone to feel that excitement. And that's why I share. And that's a big part of why I do my inner work, is loving myself and saying I have value is going to create value for others. It's not just about me, it's not just about you. We're a collective. So whatever inner work you do is going to benefit everyone around you. And that's like an incredible thing, because you can get so serious thinking everything is about you. The ego wants to say everything is about you, and you have to be careful, and but in reality, we're a collective, and whatever you're afraid of, whatever you're thinking about, chances are there's people in your reality right now that are feeling similar things. Now I'll throw up polls on my Instagram. I'll say, anyone else feeling like your energy is like being thrown off a lot? People will go, yeah. Okay. I'm never alone, by the way. And when you choose to connect and transmute everything through this kind of passageway of love, when you roll a ball in your brain, when you have a thought or you create or whatever, you're creating this concave every time the ball rolls through. And it gets easier and easier to roll the ball in that direction, right? So being who you are is a practice. And the more we practice it, the more we can connect it to other stuff. And so that initial roll, that initial choice of self-love or love for someone else, it can roll in all sorts of different areas. But it starts here. The concave starts in the beginning. And there's concaves all over the place, right? It gets real easy. That's why it's easy to sink into the fear, into the sadness, is because you've practiced that. You practiced it. But habits, something I've been thinking lately is that our habits are an unconscious curation of our circumstances. And it can be consciously reversed through love. And it's nice because we can know that things aren't our fault while also knowing that we have the power to take responsibility and create better. You know, we have the power of creation. You are source energy. You have love inside you. It's who you are. You are love. So express it. When you start to believe that you can be whatever it is you want to be, then it starts to become more of a matter of method. And since personal enjoyment is the name of the game, you just need to find the method that's the most fun for you. Because when we're learning and having fun learning, it takes 400, around 200 to 400 repetitions to form a synapse, right? But when you practice being you, it's fun. And you know what happens when you practice something in play? That synapse forms in 10 to 20 tries, baby. So talk about concaves. You just created a concave in less than 20 practices of being yourself. So it's about method. Once you believe and you know that it's just a matter of practicing and perfecting the method, then you can do anything. You can make it happen for yourself and you can find who you are through the method. Your methods are unique to you and they're going to be good for humanity. I just know it. And if anything, they're going to be good for you because your inner world is what helps the outside, because that's what gets mirrored is your inner world and people resonate. And a friend recently said to me, a rising tide raises all ships. So by you doing that inner work, you're raising everyone around you. You know, I often say people who are in a room of 50, you know, it just takes one person to be here and it naturally raises the standard. It raises the bar. It just takes a few. It doesn't have to be everyone. It can just be you, and you will naturally raise the vibration, the standard, because it becomes easy to meet a standard that someone else has already met. And it's really beneficial. So find your method. Find the one that is the most fun for you. Practice being it. Practice being you. And you are love, but the way that you express it is going to be unique to you. And you deserve to see who it is that you are. You deserve to see what you can create. And there's no way to know truly until you have tangible proof. So whenever your fear tells you, whenever your ego tells you that you're not good enough and you start feeling the weight, remember that that weight does not exist. It doesn't exist. Because as many times as you've proven to yourself that you're not good enough, you created that, you can create a different reality too. You can. I know you can. So go do it. Go do it. I believe in you. I love you. Peace and love.